Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Spitball Experts. My name is Dirk. I live in Switzerland. Well, I'm a South African living in Switzerland. And the reason why we're doing this is because we feel like we need conversation back into church. We need to learn how to deal with different um, aspects. And if someone has a different view on life, we learn how to deal with that. And we get to have great conversations and drink some great coffee while we're at it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So Arnold is living in South Africa still. Haven't moved yet. Yeah, guys, I think the whole thing behind what we're doing is just kind of stirring conversation, as Derek said, and getting people to think again. I think that is one of the most important things, is the moment that we actually start conversing with one another, we get to start thinking instead of just taking everything, just as it is on face value. So yeah, Dirk, today you've got a great conversation for us. What are we talking about?
So we're talking about having strategies for post-corona. So while I was thinking about this, I thought about, we need to have strategies in life. Otherwise, man, we are kind of screwed.
I think you've said it very well. Just simply because, we tend to, think we have to run face first into something and just see what happens. We tend to think, listen, we'll tackle something when it comes. And,
sounds like a good rugby reference, man.
Basically, I was hoping someone would pick up on that. But no, I think that this whole idea, this whole concept behind having a strategy just says, listen, I'm being proactive towards the future, and I'm not just taking everything as it is. There's validity in that. There's validity in taking something as it is. But come on, let's be honest. If we want something to truly last, we need to at least give it a bit of thought and have some sort of strategy in it, don't you think?
And let's just, I think so true. Corona came and that's chaotic. That's chaos.
Yeah.
In itself. In a matter of weeks, life as we knew it came to a halt. People are losing their jobs. I just spoke to a friend actually like a couple hours ago, and his income just plummeted into the abyss. And you realize there's this thing just came in with like a wrecking ball. I feel like a Miley Cyrus song going.
she kind of predicted it. We've been saying Simpsons predicts the future. That's not true. It's not Miley Cyrus. So,
and it's chaotic, and I think the way we deal with chaos is so important. Just as I think for a lot of people, their lives just, if you have kids, that's even more chaotic. All of a sudden you have to take care of them on a more on a longer period of time during your day. You don't just have your work and then your kids, and now everything is just mixed up into each other. And that's why I thought today would be cool if we talk a little bit about having strategies. What does that mean for us? What does that entail?
So I think we can talk about this whole strategy concept, and especially on the value of not just church wise, but I think just life wise. As you said, Corona came in, hit us like a wrecking ball, and it just kind of put everything to a stop. Everything just halted, and that has caused us to start of adapt. And I think that there's been so many references in history of how humanity had to start adapting towards society, had to start adapting towards the circumstances, had to start adapting towards, listen, what are all the external factors and how am I supposed to deal with it now? Just here in South Africa, suddenly we have kids who want to go back to school. You usually find, we were in the same high school. We had so many kids who would have paid for this. They would have paid to be away from school for a whole year. Now we've got kids wanting to go back to school because their situation has changed so much. Now suddenly, we're dealing with parents who are feeling overwhelmed, parents who sit at home who used to work from home and obviously still do, but now their kids are there as well the whole time. I mean, their teenagers are there, their students are there, all of that. And now suddenly life happens, and now we've got to deal with all these external factors, income-wise. I mean, suddenly, sure, you're not at the office anymore, you're more at home, but now all these bills are starting to pile up of electricity and water and food and all of this, and I think taking that into life, I mean, honestly, that is one of the biggest challenges I'm starting to see. And I'm starting to see how many people don't really know what to do next. They, especially in the teenage context, they kind of adapt towards making TikTok videos and watching Netflix.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It's great, but I'm starting to see now, even I'm getting bored of watching Netflix. I'm at that point where I can only rewatch Friends so many times in this lockdown, or rewatch Big Bang Theory, or whatever the case is. And I'm like, now I'm craving something more. I'm craving something else.
I hope there's some dads playing some Fortnite or some Call of Duty with their kids. I mean, just a mom just wrecking the crap out of their teenage boys.
I mean,
Call of Duty. That would be cool. That would be cool. Like,
I had the absolute best idea yesterday for Father's Day. And, if you want to use this out there, please go ahead and use it. But seeing as we're going to be having Father's Day online, kind of, in church, I mean, usually we do all this fuss for Mother's Day and we get them pampered and all of these nice things. Last year here at our ministry, we kind of got like this old beat up car that didn't have anything left, and we just smashed it with like sledgehammers. And, it's kind of the manly thing to do. This year, I thought, listen, let's have a Call of Duty tournament.
That's brilliant. Just get your dad involved.
Call of Duty tournament. You and your dad, you sit there, you play against your neighbors, that type of stuff. But, honestly, we need to start adapting towards that.
Adapt to Call of Duty. That is the message for today.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's see. But I mean, strategies towards the future. I mean, what do you think is a good strategy for life going forward?
Well, I think the first thing that and this is not my idea. This is an idea that I'm borrowing from Mr. Jordan Peterson. Wrote the book on 12 rules. 12 rules on life, basically, how to combat chaos, an antidote for chaos. Sorry.
What is that book's name?
It's 12 Rules of Life, an antidote to chaos. So basically, it's having principles, having rules. So he goes through 12 rules, but the one that I find really, really significant is don't lie to yourself. Try to tell the truth. And I think that is one thing that we can really try to do is to be honest with ourselves. Like, where are we going? Maybe this Corona time is actually just shown the spotlight on the stuff that didn't function up to now. I think that is the first step, is be honest with yourself. Like, what is the situation really about?
That if you would say, like, what is the main reason people aren't busy, or we as humans aren't busy being honest with ourselves? Why aren't we honest with ourselves? Why do we want to lie to ourselves?
Man, it's a lot of working on yourself. Let's just be honest with ourselves here for a second. I mean, it's easy to say, let's get a couple of self-help tips out there, and it's damn hard work to just get stuck into situations you need to change, or you have this ideal of your life and how it should be, and now it's not working out. I mean, Corona really, for me, so I just realized that Corona just busted open a lot of stuff that's just not functioning. Whether it's in society, whether it's in church, whether it's in a structure, whatever. Like it just showed the weak points we have. And I think one thing that is, it's sometimes easier to live with a lie. And I think that sometimes it stops us from really living in its a life in fullness, which I find Jesus speaks a lot about. Also, the biblical authors speak a lot about. living a life in fullness.
Yeah.
Meaning, there's stuff in our lives, like let's take a family stuff or relational stuff. I think it's sometimes to tackle an idea on like a problem head on. It takes a lot of work. It takes effort. Takes energy, and sometimes it's easier to just sidestep it and go, well,
Yeah.
deal with it another day.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's exactly the thing. People shifted away, and I think we should stop saying people, but I think we.
It's always out there. It's never in here. It's always out there.
Here. Exactly, and that was just for the example. Okay, so
yeah.
And I think we as a society tend to focus so much on that which we don't have, and then we start living this alternate reality. And we start to live this alternate lifestyle in our own minds. And then we get so tired and so exhausted from doing this, because it's taking so much effort to do this. And I mean, we are kind of creatures of habit in a sense, you know. So we live the same routine over and over again. And obviously you get your few or your many, honestly, that tend to adapt towards this, and then they go and they break the routine. And then they want to break this whole routine. And it's cool, it's great. And I'm very excited for people that are able to do that. But I do sense that there are so many areas in our lives where we tend to just like kind of pile on more and more and more stuff. And before we realize, we are living a life which is a lie. We are living a life that is not necessarily 100% true. And I think even more than that, if we talk from a Christian perspective, how is this life how are we living this life that God has called us to? I mean, do we truly still believe that we can live a life that God has called us to? You know, and let's put aside this whole thing about a calling, about going out into the nations, preaching the gospel. Besides that, I mean, do we get so caught up in just trying to please everyone or just coping that we kind of just say, listen, there's no more strategy, there's no more anything in this world. I'm just going to take it I'm just going to carry on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the moment we go into survival mode, what is it? You have the fight or the flight, and we tend to go into these modes, and either we run from it or we fight, and I think sometimes we try to really just eat the entire elephant at once without really sitting down, taking stock of our lives and going, hey, I cannot change everything, but I can change one thing, and I can do that really well. And I think that's really something that also spoke to me in this book, is to have a vision for your life. Like, it's okay to have an ideal for your life. Like, that is pretty okay. That is also very biblical. But to try and do one thing really good, whether it's, hey, if you just change one room in your house, make it beautiful. You know, make one room in your house at least beautiful in this time where, you know, if I go to this place, it's where I'm going to relax, it's where I'm going to be, and it's going to be great. If you're in a job context, to really do one thing really great, and to try work at that, and see what happens from there. But to really think about our lives.
This is going to sound extremely strange, especially towards my previous comments on Netflix, but I'm busy watching this show on Netflix. But it's like every now and again I watch an episode, and then yesterday I was watching this episode on
so wait, what are you watching?
I'm watching The 100. Okay. And I'm watching this show, and I'm in the season, in a section, or in the episode where they find the city of light. And I mean, it's exciting. It's like, oh, it's so nice. And where they find the city of light, and they get there, but suddenly now they have to take this medicine or this tablet or whatever the case is, that's kind of just taking your spirit to another level, in a sense, you know, if you can.
So this sounds like very cheap LSD or something.
Basically, or very, very expensive LSD. So anyway, but And this guy is trying to recruit more people to get to go with him to the city of light, because obviously they've populated that to get there. So he's working with the strategy of kind of getting people in a place where saying, listen, this is going to be so good for you. There's no pain, there's no death, there's no nothing. It's just this amazing place, you know, like with Moses, it's like the promised land for them. Anyway, and then there's this one girl named Raven, and she just stands up and says, listen, there's not a chance. You're busy being fake and all that. And then she leaves. But later he gets to her and says, listen, use this. He gives her the tablet. And he's like, what have you got to lose in this? And that question kind of just stuck with me, how this girl, or this woman rather, was in a place where she said, listen, this is so fake. This is not good. Why are you doing this? You're not being yourself. To get to a place where she's so distraught and so down because she's got a leg injury and all of that, and she's in pain and all of that. And now this guy's promising her a kind of a way out into a place that isn't truly a place. It's more a state of mind. Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking, isn't that kind of like the question that many of us face every single day, to a place of, and we can put it either in a negative space or a positive space. And is this going to be, what have you got to lose by trying to adapt to your surroundings? You know, what have you got to lose to try and adapt by just doing one thing differently in your life? And I mean, I'm kind of busy just with this journey on Paul in scripture, and it's kind of strange, but if you're honest about it, it's like one letter kind of changed his entire identity from Saul to Paul. I mean, it's one little change that changed his entire kind of story. So I'm kind of asking myself this question, and I think it's a strategy that I'm trying to build into my own life, of saying, listen, what have I got to lose by every single day surrendering my day to Christ? You know, doing what scripture says and saying, listen, bring your burdens to me. Jesus is saying that, and that's like, no, okay, cool. So I'm in a financial struggle. What am I doing? Am I staying true to scripture? You know, I'm in a emotional struggle. Okay, am I sticking to scripture? Am I surrendering it over? So, and it's kind of like this question. Okay, but what have I got to lose? Honestly,
that's a good question. What do I have to lose? I think we have this ideal of life where we think becoming a Christian, especially like when we just look at our Christian society, it's like this. We have this utopian view of Christian life, like I accept Jesus and then life is just going to be smooth. And life is there's a lot of suffering in life. Just post Corona, like pre Corona, there was still a lot of suffering in life. I mean, people were still living in slums. People were still dying of sicknesses. It still happened. But I think in all of that, so I think it's worth getting into the idea of what does it mean to then truly come to Jesus with your burdens. Is that just? I sometimes find that a complex idea of, hey, I bring all my burdens to you, but to radically leave it there.
I think that's the thing. Yeah. It's bringing, but what we're doing is we're kind of doing this, you know, we're kind of stretching, like you're holding with the one hand, here it is, and then but you're like kind of saying, okay, now I'm going to go, but you're not releasing fully. You know, we're not releasing fully and knowing, okay, it's in a good place. I can trust it.
Exactly, and that's what I want to also say with don't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
I think post-Corona, I don't care. In the end, if we look at our lives, we'll always have extreme moments like this where life just really blows us out of the water and we have no orientation. And I think it's always good to think about, hey, when I get into tough situations, not what would I do, but what strategy do I have to keep my mind, to keep my soul in the direction that I can still somehow function. I think psychologically, Corona had, we fight a bigger battle in psychologically with Corona than we do physically.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, if you look at statistics, like for certain cities and stuff, there's like 200 people that are infected with the disease, but there's like a million people that's affected by it, not infected, just affected, and that just plays a big role in our minds. Can we trust God? That's a valid question.
Exactly,
Can we still trust God to bring us through? How does that look like for us? I think it's a good question. A scary question.
I think even what you're saying there is taking just the psychological inputs on this. I mean, South African context, for example, now, I mean, South Africans, how they function. And South Africans love to climb onto something and kind of own their right to it. I mean, it's like since the levels were announced, there were so many South Africans starting to stand up and get to a point saying, listen, this is to stop, this is the repercussions, this and this and this. And you know what is the craziest thing of all? We kind of recorded, I think it was 3 days ago maybe, the highest spike in the numbers of people who were affected or who were affected by the disease. But it's like, I think close to 15,000, maybe it's over 15,000 now. But the reality is we focus so much on people that are infected with the virus. We kind of miss the point of the, like, okay, but there's like, and it's tragic, but there's like, I think only 200, close to 300 people that have died from the virus. How people start to kind of switch that around. And now they're saying, okay, so now there's like 15,000 people dying and this is so bad and that bad. And I'm like, okay, why don't we just take a step back, kind of regain our composure. Look, okay, 200, 300 people have died. That is very sad. That's very tragic, okay? 15,000 people have been infected, for example. Okay, but what about the rest of the country? There's people now sitting in poverty. There's people that are heading towards poverty. There are people now that have got no clue what's next. And I think we kind of need to ask ourselves individually, what is the strategy for us next? Just to live.
And I think, look, we need to be honest. Within all of this, I love the Omar Rusk story. Yeah. I mean, during the Depression, she started baking rusks and it developed into a business.
Exactly.
And the only thing she really did was making her rusks great. That is the thing she worked on. Yeah. Feeding people. I don't know if she knew it's going to be a business and that's going to be like the pride of South Africa.
Exactly. Like, let's be honest.
We have a lot of things in South Africa, but those babies, those little bad boys, they are
exactly. It's like, okay, for everyone listening from Europe or from wherever you are, I mean, Dippa Oma. I mean, that's what you do. You take an Oma,
one of those bad boys.
And if you don't know what an Oma is, it's a grandma basically, but it's a rusk. Okay, and yeah, I mean that is just how people. And I think that story is so great. But I think people don't want the process.
Exactly. I think it's a process. Life is a process, and I think we need to really, really take stock of our lives and see how we deal with negativity. See how we don't need to put a positive spin on everything.
Yeah.
But to sit down and be real with ourselves, going, man, I don't know if I've been treating my wife right. I don't know if I've been treating my kids okay. I don't know if I've been treating the members of my church okay. I don't know if I've been treating people the way people should be treated, with dignity, respect.
But I mean, even more than that, how we've been treating ourselves. I mean, let's be honest about that. There's husbands out there that are kind of breaking themselves down because they don't know what to do next. I mean, there's moms out there that are going out of their minds because they don't know what to do next with their kids at home or whatever the case is. And I think that's a very valid question, is how do we support just the people in our immediate circle?
Yeah.
Because in a sense, we're kind of stuck with them till now. I mean,
well, they made them, so come on.
Exactly. I mean, But yeah, I think that's a very valid question.
By the way, a little side note, talking about rusks, I was once in a conversation with a guy about the baptism, and he's like, the baptism is like dunking one of these guys in there, and then and then when you take it out, it's like, okay, what happens when you take it out? Do you eat it? Am I going to be eaten? I don't know. This is a weird analogy. Like, I get that we get dunked, but what happens after the dunking?
It's a new life.
A scary moment.
It's a new life.
Yeah.
So
I was a little bit scared. It's like, what cult have I walked into? No, So back to the thing. Yes. I think, I think really is the other thing is pride. I think that is one of the most difficult things in life is pride. Can I accept help? What I see in a lot of Christian people is we are so used to giving, so used to being the strongest, going from, hey, I always give, I always help. I'm the one that people come to for help. I'm not the one that goes to someone for help.
Yeah.
And I think if we can switch that around, doing both at the same time, like, hey, I give, but I also receive. We need to also learn how to receive in these moments.
Yeah.
And then I think we will understand not just the world around us better, but we'll grow in empathy for each other.
But I think if we can maybe, I don't know, Dick, but if we can maybe just give an example of a strategy. How do we set up a strategy? I mean, that is, I think one of the best questions is, cool, we have to do a strategy, or we have to start thinking strategic, because that's not easy for everyone. So kind of, what would you say? How would you set up a strategy?
So for me, it's a couple of things, like setting up a process. Yes, that's what a strategy is setting up a process so that we can reach an end goal. And for me, it's like, what am I trying to achieve? What is my goal? Like, where am I heading? Is it just a general direction? Where do I want to go with all of this? Whether it's changing a job, whether it's whatever, like, that is my first step. And the second thing is just defining that goal. The second thing is, what do I need, not just to reach the goal, but what do I need to really get myself going, to really motivate myself? Because you can be motivated by other people, but if you have no motivation in yourself, then don't start the process.
Yeah, I agree.
And obviously, within all that, I try to really listen also to God. See, hey, where are we supposed to go with this? What would you think about it? Having that conversation.
Yeah.
The third thing is really then start implementing it radically. I try to be more productive. I'm a procrastinator by nature.
Are you a procrastinator?
Procrastinator. Yeah, procrastinator. I'm one of those people that needs stress, but also realize for me it's just very difficult because there's not always stress around, and I cannot function like that otherwise, man. I think I would drive my wife out of the house if there's too much stress. So how do I become more productive? That was the first question, and trying a lot of things. Just try, just step out, just try stuff and see how it works, and go take stock of it. What worked, what didn't, and take what is good. So that is for me the first thing. Like I decided to get up early, to get ahead of the thing, identifying times where I'm procrastinating, and then allowing space for that to happen, but not too much. Timing the times where I take a break to radically say, now this is where I cut. And having grace with myself when I don't get up to. If I like this morning, I didn't get up early. I slept through my alarm clock, so that's one of those things.
I mean, that's life.
That's life.
Yeah.
That would be one of the things I do. I don't know how you do it.
No, I think I can relate definitely with a lot what you're saying, because I think building in some sort of strategy into your life starts off with, listen, what do I want to achieve? And if I don't know yet what I want to achieve, it's fine. Okay, but kind of where do I want to be? in the next couple of months or weeks or whatever the case is. And then from there, I try to set a clear goal for the next few weeks, just in the near future, like weekly goals type of thing. For example, I mean, I've got a digital marketing business as well, and it's difficult to run a business in South Africa, especially now in a time where everything is social media, everything is online. So there's opportunity, but there's also like a flood of the same type of thing in the market. So you kind of tell yourself, okay, so I want to achieve this type of turnover in the business, or more, make it much simpler. Listen, I want to have at least 4 solid clients by the end of October this year. So what am I doing now in the next 2-3 weeks to get my work out, to get people, to kind of get a process started on getting new people. With that, also, I try to surround myself with that type of people that will build me up in that sense. Someone that can motivate me, someone that can that I can go to, someone that can mentor me. And then from there, kind of put in the work. Fail, get up, work again. Fail, work, get up again. That type of thing.
Have some success.
Exactly. And that was kind of now the next thing is we need to realize that there will be failure, but then there will come success as well. And then having that grace with yourself, saying, listen, we need to start somewhere. I mean, I saw some of my work that I did in 2011 the other day. I saw some of that work, and versus the work that I do now, it's crazy how different it is. Because back then I thought this is such great work. Like, it's like amazing. Now if I look at it, I'm like, did I do this on Paint? Like, what did I do? And even just sermons. I mean, if you listen to some of your sermons that you did right when you started in ministry versus now, it's completely 2 different worlds. And I think we need to tell ourselves, listen, we need to just get started. And if you fall, get back up, carry on. If you want to cry a bit in the shower where no one sees your tears, do it. But let's carry on. We can't stop.
Hey, the biggest moment for me was at uni. I got a 0, like a good round 0 on a paper I handed in.
Yep.
And that was a moment for me where, man, okay, I had a couple of swear words going when I saw it's like, wow, yeah. But the opportunity, speaking to the guy afterwards and realizing my mistakes, I think that's so crucial.
Yeah.
Make mistakes, but the success afterwards was ridiculous. That failure, it's okay, we're gonna fail, but just get up, dust yourself back up, and then
I think maybe just as a final point on that is to realize, listen, you are allowed to fail. You are allowed to not succeed in something, and more than that, you're allowed to have grace on yourself. I mean, what is that? I mean, that is probably just church talk. So let's just make it simple. You're allowed to make a mistake, and you're allowed to forgive yourself for that. And you're allowed to, listen, carry on and know that, listen, that thing is not weighing you down anymore. Because I think so many times we find that how people tend to, listen, how we as humanity tend to make a mistake and we're like, listen, I'm done. I'm not doing that again. So we need to have grace on ourselves.
And don't regress. Go to God.
Exactly.
If you're a believer, just there's that help.
Yeah, I agree.
Go to your friend. And I think one last thought that I want to share is be careful who you share bad news with, and be careful with whom you share good news with.
I feel that's a next podcast episode right there. It's just who you surround yourself with. Honestly, Dale Carnegie writes an amazing book on how to make friends and influence people. And just that whole book, there's 6 principles in that entire book that is so good. And I think it speaks especially on the type of person you are that gives influence. But I think if you apply those principles into who you allow influence into your life, I mean, that's just crazy.
So it looks like we have a topic for next time.
Hey, next podcast. There we go.
Look at us spitballing our way through life. Huh?
Cool. Yeah. So, thanks, Dirk. It was a good show.
Yeah, thanks, man. I think chaos will always be at our doorsteps, but
Yeah.
we can. We have the means as human beings. We have the means to fight it.
Exactly.
And I think, by God, do we have a strong help. And so hey, this was a great chat. So next time we'll definitely get back into being influential then.
Yes.
With whom do we surround ourselves? That's going to be
I
great.
agree.
It's going to be a great chat. Yeah, thanks, Arnold.
Thanks. I don't know, maybe we can just end it off with reminding people where they can find us. Just a reminder, you can find us on the podcast app. You can find us on Spotify or YouTube as well. Don't forget to subscribe and download and share this with people out there. We'd love just to see how it influences people's lives and just getting people thinking. I mean, honestly, there's sometimes just the smallest thing that can be said or shared that just gets people thinking again. So don't be afraid to share with people out there.
Yes, and if you want us to talk about anything, if you want to hear us spitball about anything, please drop us either a comment on YouTube or send us an email. Would love to get those conversations going. And while you spread our stuff and like and subscribe to our channels, please start conversations. Just do it. Do it. Whether it's with your cat or person, who cares? Just do it.
Just speak to someone. Just get the conversation going, and we'll see what happens. Once your cat starts talking back to you, stop. Okay, but
yeah, my grandmother had like this bird she used to talk to. That was always interesting to watch. I think we are just such conversational people. But let's not get sidetracked.
Yes,
please like our stuff. And see you guys here. Well, talk to you guys next time.
Cool. Cheers everyone.